Jamie Miller of Pandora Astrology in Berkeley, California, and with me is.
Hey guys, it's Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
And today we want to talk with you about Jupiter conjunct Pluto, which is happening this year. Jupiter will be going in and out of conjunction with Pluto. And these two planets have very specific meanings, and when they get together, it has a very specific feel. And in this video, we're going to show you that happening in this movable chart that you can see right here, and show you the dates on which it's happening, 3 dates, and also tell you about the degree span this is happening in so that you can figure out whether this is affecting your chart very directly and very strongly or not. So to begin with, Julia, why don't we throw out there some thoughts about what Jupiter is and what Pluto is and what it means when they get together?
Sure. Well, when I think Jupiter, I think expansive and I think perspective.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, because Jupiter is really about our capacity to see the big picture, our capacity to think big, to think generalistically, holistically, to think with our right brain associatively. And Jupiter tends to expand on everything that it touches, whether that's, something in your natal chart or something in a transit. Now, Pluto, what's Pluto about, Julia?
Pluto, I think of three different things. I think of power, I think of transformation, and then I also think of it in terms of rulership. All of the things that Pluto rules tends to be things which have to be kind of kept out of the light of polite society. So sex, death, insanity, crime, taboos, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Pluto rules some of the things that are hidden from view in everyday life. Absolutely. So you said 3 different categories, and I loved all of them. The first one was
Power.
Power, yes. And for that, I want to say that there's a difference between power in terms of control, like being able to control, which would assume power without vulnerability, right? Which in its own way is a form of weakness.
Yes.
Like if you want the kind of power that means you don't have to be vulnerable, you're building a weakness into your power structure, because if you were to become vulnerable, the whole thing kind of crumbles, right?
Wow. Yes.
So, and then there's power from within, which is the power that includes vulnerability. It's the power to know and understand our life from a place deep within us that's more holistic, that is more inclusive of all of us, rather than sort of sitting on a volcano of stuff that we don't want to look at that might explode anytime, which is more like power and control. And it's also the power to bond with people and get them to be truly loyal to you out of love, not out of control. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the power section. What was the second section you mentioned?
Transformation.
Yeah, transformation. And I feel like it was something different from that. Transformation.
Earlier?
Yeah.
No, I think it was transformation.
So,
or change.
Transformation and change, metamorphosis, going through that long dark night of the soul. Right?
Yeah.
And the third section was about stuff that's hidden from everyday view. So when Jupiter and Pluto get together, Jupiter makes things bigger, right? So sometimes that means that your power might get bigger. It might be expanded upon. Your control might get bigger, but also the weaknesses built into your power structure might become bigger, might become obvious, might become visible. And therefore, it cracks, it breaks. Those fault lines appear.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that this year, and especially because this is happening in Capricorn, which is the sign to do with authority and hierarchy, patriarchy, the whole general structure of society, of governments, institutions in general. even including like religious institutions. And so when you put it all together, what you get is power and control may expand this year in those kinds of institutions, especially among individuals at the top of those institutions who believe falsely or truly that that they are entitled to be where they are.
Yeah, Jupiter and Pluto actually share a bit of a common dark side too. Both of them, I think, have the tendency to get a bit fanatical as well.
Or megalomaniacal, really.
Exactly. And so when you were just saying power and religious institutions, that also just kind of popped up in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jupiter can expand that power and expand the charisma that's underneath that power and the loyalty that it generates. But Jupiter can also make visible where the fault lines are. And so people who are in charge and have built, a house of cards, if you will, may find that it, crumbles, tumbles. There are big messes.
Yes. And I think especially because Pluto is such an ego rousing planet.
Yeah. Its ancient rulership by Mars probably has something to do with that, like the ancient rulership of Scorpio by Mars that Pluto shares.
Yeah, completely. And so I think that while there might be opportunities, which is a Jupiter word, for power, which is a Pluto word, I think that, as these energies affect people on a personal level, and people might find themselves maybe in positions of power or dealing with power in different ways as this conjunction is happening throughout the year, I think that by directing one's interest in power towards things other than the ego, like for the betterment of everybody, would be the absolute best way to use it.
Yes, absolutely. And you've just so headed in the direction that I was heading to, because I was thinking Jupiter represents ethics and morals.
Yeah.
And Pluto, of course, representing power, control, capacity for manipulation, but also capacity for deep transformation. When these two get together, it's like bringing something into phase. That moment when it's like so close that it's almost there but not quite there is like an uncanny valley that's sort of like jittery and weird and even creepy. But when they line up and they come into phase, then what you've got is like people who are growing and expanding and transforming and vulnerable while they do it, and just filled up with this tremendous sense of power and charisma and just kind of like invulnerable, I would say, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's hard to even describe. It's fantastic and beautiful and can be world changing in some really good ways.
Yeah, use this time for self-betterment and for just regeneration, personal regeneration and regeneration and reform in your environment for the good of others.
For the good of others. And as long as it's ego driven, then it could really collapse in on itself. But if it is truly selfless, then chances of success are great, to say the least. I wanted to point I wanted to point to a set of blog posts that I wrote a bunch of years ago. I think it might have been 2010, on an occasion when Jupiter and Pluto were getting together in a square. And I'm pointing to this not because it's the same aspect, because it's a different aspect. This is a conjunction, that was a square. But really, anytime Jupiter and Pluto get together, it's going to have the same general flavor. And I think that those who are watching this video right now might be really entertained by this set of 3 blog posts that I wrote back in what is it? 2010, yeah. The first one is called Going to Extremes, and it's part of a set of posts. The other is called Jupiter and Pluto Go on a Binge, and then Seeking Light in the Darkness. And I'm going to put the link for those posts, or at least for the first of those posts, into the YouTube description below so that you all can have fun with that. And right now I want to show you some of the dates this is happening on and talk about the degree span, because I mean, Julia's advice a moment ago was great. Use this for your self betterment, use this for your transformation and improvement, and do it selflessly. But if this Jupiter Pluto conjunction is hitting something in your chart very directly or very precisely, then wow, do you need that advice? Okay, so I have charts for this, but I also just want to show you this sort of running along through the year. I'm setting this to weeks, and I'm going to have it go kind of fast. This is set for April 4th, which is the first pass. And the second pass is coming in June, at the end of June, and the third pass is coming in mid-November. So let's just watch this go. There's Jupiter and Pluto. They've met up at 24 degrees. And now we're going to watch this go till, here we are, late June. Here they are again conjunct 24 degrees. And now we're going to watch it go till mid-November. And here it is. And they're forming that final conjunction at 22 degrees. So the span of this aspect is a hit at 24 degrees, another hit at 24 degrees, a hit at 22 degrees. And what that means is if anything in your chart is in 22, 23, or 24 degrees of any cardinal sign at all, meaning Capricorn, yes, obviously, but also Cancer, Libra, and Aries, then boy, are you going to feel this in a very big way. And it might be something that where you feel like things are beyond your control, like you're no longer steering the ship. You're now on a little boat tossed around on a tidal wave of transformation. And if that's the case, then you know what they say. If you want to, if you're lost in the snow and you're skidding, you got to steer in the direction that you're already going in order to regain control of your vehicle. And that's a pretty serious thought. So I've got the charts for this. And here is pass 1. As you can see, it's April 4th, and there are Jupiter and Pluto together in 24 degrees of Capricorn. Pass 2 shows them again at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And then pass 3 shows them at 22 degrees, and that's November 12th. So, Julia, do you have any final thoughts for people who might be having this transit very precisely affecting, I don't know, maybe some specific areas, like if maybe they have Cancer rising and Capricorn's in the 7th house, or it's aspecting Venus or Juno in the relationship area, or if it's affecting their Saturn and maybe they'd be feeling it in the career arena?
I think that just riffing off something you said earlier about vulnerability, which I think was just a really brilliant connection. That true power is being vulnerable. So this transit may ask that for you to bring some vulnerability to these areas of your life, and that doing so, true vulnerability is kind of like being at peace with yourself on some level, and it's a sense of acceptance too. So I think that that's something to keep in mind wherever this might be, lighting up in your chart.
You know what I think? I think also of when I think about Pluto, I think about that story about the scorpion and the frog. You know the one I mean?
Yeah.
Scorpion wants to go across the stream. Frog says, "Why would I take you? You'll sting me, and then I'll drown." And the scorpion says, "Why would I sting you? We'll both drown." So this frog says, "Okay, hop aboard." Over they go, and midway in the stream, Scorpion stings the frog. And on the way down, the frog says, "Why the hell did you do that?" And the scorpion says, "Can't help it. It's my nature." And I think that the lesson there is not, just a tragic one of like, what to do, just become more thick-skinned and don't trust anybody. No, it's more nuanced than that. It's about using your spidey sense, your Pluto's inbuilt instinct, for can I trust this person? But use it not just to determine, yes, no on a toggle, should I trust this person, but how can I trust this person? And you can trust somebody if you understand their nature And you can only understand their nature if you're willing to look at it, to look at all of it, and not delude yourself about some aspects of their nature that you just didn't want to know about.
Yep.
So, gotta use your spidey sense during an aspect like this, especially if it were to come down in the relationship arena for you. And in the career arena, I mean, you know, watch out for power plays of your own or amongst the people that you work with, and be aware that, as you just said, Julia, vulnerability is, I mean, it can be your friend, you know, and you can't account for it not being there. I mean, you can't pretend that you're invulnerable when you're not.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think that's all we have to say about that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you are able to make good use of it. If you want a reading about this or any other topic in your chart, Julie and I are available and we'd love to see you. You can find us at pandoraastrology.com/services, where you can choose the reading that you like and schedule it right there on the spot. And until next month, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.